guys, I'm so excited to chat with you and share a little bit about book number 3. I'm going to take this video and put it over in YouTube as well, so that's why I'm recording it in the landscape mode. But I'm really excited to share with you the updates on Becoming Jesus People Volume 3. So I've typically done a video like this with the last 2 books, and I realized I hadn't done one yet to tell you guys all about Volume 3. Part of that was probably because it's been a really kind of a different process, kind of working through this book while also pregnant. I'm in my 3rd trimester now. I'm really trying to get the book published and out the door before this baby comes. I've never been early, so we will hope that this 5th baby is the same as the other 4 and stays the full 40 weeks in place. So with that said, I'm excited to share with you guys about the 3rd installment in this series, which you guys have all kind of come to love, and a lot of you here on Facebook with me that have become Facebook friends have so because of these other 2 books. So I wanted to just share a little bit about what you can expect in Volume 3. So Volume 3 is going to not be quite as big as Volume 2 was. Volume 2 was like over 60,000 words, and we had like, I think it was like 23 chapters in that book. This one is only 14 chapters. It's got 11 stories in it. And the featured story in Volume 3 is that of Charles Moore. So I had heard about Charles Moore actually when we were working on the 2nd book. And a lot of people told me that he was a story that I should tell. And I think he may have even come up in the process of the 1st book. And I did not feel confident in the 1st book with the rush process Riley and I went through to be able to tackle a story of someone who had passed on. Now with Volume 2, if you guys have read that one, you all know that I tackled the story of Roy Hicks Jr., who was near and dear to many people's heart and had a massive influence on the Willamette Valley and the leaders and pastors that we still have here today. And it was a real honor to get to share his story and research it and talk about that in Volume 2. So having had that experience, I felt more confident tackling another story of someone who has had a lasting impact with their life and is connected to both Liberation House, which was the highlight of the 1st book, and Faith Center and Roy Hicks Jr., which is highlighted more in the 2nd book. And so Charles Moore gets to kind of sit front and center stage of this 3rd volume with 3 chapters about his life coming in and out of prison in the first 25 years of his life, getting saved at Liberation House, and what happened next, which is a really cool, I feel like, culmination story of this whole series too. I feel like his life is a really great example of moving from one impact of a revival into another, to see where his life ended up and how it impacted the city of Portland and still is impacting the city of Portland today through Liberation Street Ministries and Liberation Street Church, which I'm excited is going to be hosting our Portland area book launch on February 15th. So those details have been buttoned down, and you can see some of that on my page. If you want to come, if you're in the Portland area and you want to come to that book launch on the 15th of February, but you need some details, just let me know below and I can get you those details. We are working on getting a Eugene book launch date set. It is looking a lot more promising. So if you got my email on a couple that I sent out a couple days ago, for if you're on my newsletter. If you're not on my newsletter yet, that's where the details and the information gets sent first. So let me know that also below, and I can get you added to the email list, because there'll be some emails and updates and book cover reveals and everything coming shortly over the next couple of weeks. But there is hopefully going to be a Eugene book launch. It's looking very promising. I just had a chat with someone with who had a pastor who was more than happy to host us for either kind of late February, maybe the very 1st of March. So I will be getting back to you once those details are finalized, but hopefully we can have a book launch event for this 3rd installment in the Eugene area as well. So if you want details about the Eugene one, let me know in the comments below as well, so that I can make sure to get that information to you once we've got it finalized. But it's looking very hopeful, as long as I don't have a baby early. So, which, like I said at the beginning of the video, I've never had a baby early. They've all taken their time. So odds are pretty great for that. Some things you can expect in volume 3. So volume 3, like I said, the feature story, the 3-part story is Charles Moore, but we've also got some really great testimonies from people like Wayne Cordeiro, who was really, I loved his story, and I think a lot of people are familiar with him and his impact, mostly in Hawaii. I think he's very well known there, but a lot of you know him from the Eugene area or ministered with him for many decades, and he still has a lasting impact there today. So really feel honored to get to share his early testimony with you all in this book. And he's also written some helpful like endorsement forward type things too, which we'll be able to include in this formatting editing stage. So I'm excited about that. I also have a bunch of testimonies that came up, which was really interesting. I wasn't expecting this going into this book, of interactions with high school students and the school system, and youth, like middle schoolers, and some of their testimony walking through middle school and how Jesus reached them at that point. So that was a kind of an interesting trend that I wasn't necessarily expecting to see come out of these interviews. It just kind of evolved as I interviewed. I'm like, oh, there's another story about high school and another story about middle school. And so I've tried to stay true to whatever the Lord was trying to do with that trend and theme of interviews, to share some of those impactful moments with you all in these stories. Another thing that I was really hoping for with this last book was to kind of showcase where this movement went, which I think Wayne's testimony is a really great example of that, and Charles Moore's is also a really great example of this, because this will be the final piece of this series, at least for the foreseeable future, for me, as I move on into writing other projects, and for the foreseeable future we'll be taking care of a newborn. So it's a kind of a bittersweet moment, as you know, finishing up this last book and working on it with my editor right now and finishing the final details of the book cover. But this will be kind of the culmination of this series, which has really transformed my life, getting to hear all these testimonies from everyone and also get to be the person to share them with you all. So those are just some details of things to look forward to. We've got a really amazing testimony in the book too, of someone who's survived cancer for decades and completely defied all of the science and odds and all their doctors' predictions, and still to this day. So that was a really cool, we haven't really featured a story like that in these books in this series yet, so I'm really excited to bring you that story and testimony, which is a really amazing. There's a couple like more supernatural experiences that came up in these interviews. That's also really cool. And again, like I said, the theme of stories from high school and middle school was really intriguing to me, and just I feel like maybe it's also falls in line with my hope with the whole series, was to preserve these stories for another generation. And so there's some really cool testimonies in there that I think will really speak to a younger audience. So I'm excited to share this book with you soon. It's coming in February. If you want updates, let me know in the comments section. Give me updates, and so I can get you all set up with that. And if you have any questions too, feel free to ask them below and help me spread the word and get people excited. You can share this video if you have a friend that has been hoping for a volume 3 or really loved volume 2 or volume 1 and would like to know about it. There's so many times I've gotten emails like, I had no idea this was happening, and it's been like months since we did a book launch. Like, how did I not know about this book? So I really do rely on all of you guys to spread the word and share with your friends who you know would love to get to read some of these stories and testimonies from back in the day. And one thing I should note about this book is we do include some more stories that move us forward in time a little bit, up into the early 80s and early 90s as well. So it's kind of a culminating piece to this series, a little bit shorter than the second book, but it's still going to be really powerful, and I'm really excited to get you all these testimonies. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and Happy New Year.